Share your screen. Have I shared it? No. Can you see me?
No, not yet. It's still in the, here, let me refresh the page. I see you.
You do? Can you hear me? Well, of course you can hear me.
I can turn up my volume. Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
can hear you.
Hi, everybody. This is our second time going live. Hopefully I'm doing it right. I don't know if you can hear me, so chime in and let me know if you can hear us. Okay. Hi, Phyllis. So welcome, everyone. I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to hop on and get settled in and ready for stitching. I am Annie, and I am the proper stitcher, and this is episode Flosstube 132. I have Gray here with me tonight. Say hi, Gray.
Hi.
So if this is your first time joining me, I am so glad you stopped by tonight. This is a channel where I like to talk about cross stitch and hopefully give you inspiration to fully finish your projects. And if you're returning, thank you so much for your support. But we are getting ready for just about an hour or so of a question answer session with you all. So thank you all for joining us tonight. Gray, how are you doing today?
I'm doing so great.
Yeah, she loves it when she comes home and I have these special jobs for her to do. Can you see me okay on your end?
I can.
All right. Can you hear me okay on your end? I asked her that earlier and she's like, you're right here. Of course I can hear you. So, all right. Well, let me give y'all, we'll kind of start our usual Flosstube here with some life updates. Gray got home last Saturday night and she is so ready to have a break from school. When she's home for fall break or when she's home for Thanksgiving, she's still having to do work. So this is a really good downtime for her. So we've been having fun. We've been doing some baking, some shopping, some visiting, some movies, all those fun things. We're waiting for Tristan to get home. He'll be home Friday. He is up in the mountains with some friends and they're doing all of the fun things up in the Smoky Mountains, Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg area. And it's going to be fun to have him home too. Gray has a birthday coming up next week. Everybody wish her an early happy birthday. It's a pretty big one, right, Gray?
Yep.
Oh, she's going to be 21, which is crazy for me to even think about having a 21-year-old. So happy birthday early to Gray. And tomorrow is my sister Lisa's birthday. So a quick happy birthday to Lisa as well. Our family has a lot of December birthdays. So we like to keep things fun and busy around here between Christmas, school, and birthdays. So Gray, what do we want to do first? Do we want to ask a couple of questions from our list?
I think that's a great idea.
While everybody still chimes in?
Yes. Also, shout out to, I saw it earlier, where'd it go? To Nathalie. She's stitching He Is Born right now.
Oh, so. Thanks. Natalie, is that right?
Nathalie, I think.
Nathalie. That is right up here. Oh, no, He Is Born. It's over here.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you. I've had so much fun seeing all of your posts of the Go Tell It on the Mountain series. That is a project that will forever be near and dear to my heart. And I have had so much fun seeing all of your posts of all of your finishes, all your stitching, all that stuff. So thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, Gray, what do you have for me, honey?
Okay. Lucinda asked, can you remember your first cross-stitch project and how did you get started doing Flosstube?
So my first cross-stitch project,
yes.
I do remember that one. I was a little girl. So Lucinda asked what was my first cross stitch project. And I was little. I'd spent a lot of time with my grandmother. A lot of my summers and breaks. She just lived about an hour and a half away from me in Louisiana. And she taught me how to cross stitch. And it was a little ornament. It was about a small circular piece. And it was a kit from Walmart. And it was Ada. Everything was in the kit. And it was a red ornament. And the circle ball ornament had a hollow, like a space where you could backstitch Merry Christmas in the year. And I want to say I was 8 years old when I did that ornament. I don't have it. I wish I did. I don't even know where it is. I guess that's one of those pieces that got lost. And so the second part of her question.
How did you get started doing Flosstube?
Oh, how did I get started doing Flosstube? So Flosstube I've been doing Flosstube now for, I think this April will be 4 years on April the 1st. And I started doing Flosstube because I was a cross stitcher, of course. I'd returned to cross stitching, and I really started watching Flosstube. And after watching Flosstube, I decided that I wanted to start a channel that would encourage people to fully finish their projects. Because what I had found from friends and from going to retreats, that a lot of people were worried or nervous to fully finish their own projects. And I wanted to encourage them that it's okay if your project is not perfect. It's okay if your finish is not perfect. And so that was sort of the thought behind my Flosstube channel. So I always say that I would rather have see them gray.
Yes.
So I thought it would be fun for me. I said in my last video that I would share with you also my previous finishes from my early days of learning to fully finish on my own. And what I would do is I used to send things to a professional finisher to finish. And I still do that sometimes, but it just got costly. And I wanted to learn how to finish on my own. So I started with some prairie schoolers. And these are some of the little prairie schoolers. And first of all, no judgment on sharing these finishes with you, because when I say this is first time finishing, this is truly the first time I ever fully finished anything. And I didn't even know how to use a sewing machine. So I taught myself how to use a sewing machine and how to fully finish. So these are little miniature ornaments. And y'all let us know if you can't hear us. And then they are just, they're special to me, even though they are not perfect. I'm not used to this camera. Even though they are not perfect, they are really special to me because they have memories. They really I learned a lot, but they taught me that even though my finishing is not perfect, these are still beautiful and I still love them. And we joke because these often get put to the back of the tree or hidden on the tree. And because my finishing has gotten a lot better, but they're still fun. I can't remember what booklet these came from, but I love them. And maybe one day I'll go back and restitch and refinish and maybe give them to Gray. But she's like, I don't want those. But I'll give her the newer ones and I'll keep these. But they were fun. And I loved this booklet of Prairie Schooler Santas. So that is why I started my Flosstube channel. I really just wanted to encourage people to don't worry about things being perfect. Just finish your pieces and enjoy them in your home. So what else do we have, Grapers?
In the chat, Valerie, I noticed this question because she's asking you about the 12 days of Christmas smalls and if the patterns are still available. She says she really likes them, and I noticed that because those are some of my favorites that you have, because I just love having that be one of our annual decorations that we always have in the house, and we have this big wooden bowl that she puts them all in. Are you gonna try and show that?
I brought the wooden bowl. Yes. So yeah, she's asking
where they're from.
Okay. So the story behind the 12 Days of Christmas ornaments, they are a part of a Christmas collection. And when I first started back, sorry about the light, everybody. When I first started back to cross stitch, we had a local store in Knoxville that has since closed. And these were sold as a set, and I still have them. And I don't know if these patterns are still available, but I know the woman who designed them. She lives here in Knoxville, and I was actually at her house the other night for our cross stitch group Christmas gathering. So I will ask her, but here is it's from the marking sampler. And I don't know why I see things in reverse on the camera. Okay, the marking sampler, and it's the 12 Days of Christmas. And I bought them all as a set. And I still have them all here as a set. But when I first returned to cross stitch, I had never stitched on linen. I had never used floss that was over dyed. I just was used to DMC and Ada. And so these were some of the first pieces that I used or stitched on linen. And I had someone locally finish them for me. And the store that was here, she kitted everything up for me. And so I had them finished into ornaments in case one day I decide to put them on a Christmas tree. But I like them in the bowl because I like seeing them all together. This is 2 turtle doves. And they're just so much fun. This one's my favorite, the 3 French hens. I don't know why I'm getting backwards. I can't. Gray's laughing at me because. And then 4 calling birds. But these were all kitted there, and I just love them. And if I stitch them again, or if I would stitch them now, I would stitch them on probably different fabric. But I like that they're all different. They're all on different fabric. But they're so much fun. I remember stitching these. Do you remember when I stitched these, Gray?
I do. It took a long time.
It did. It took me several months, but they're quick stitches. But I will ask Darlene if these can be, or if they are released, or if she has them somewhere to be purchased. I'm sure a needlework store could order them, but I'll ask Darlene, and I'll try to remember to put that in a future video. 9 ladies dancing. I just love that. These are just fun. This is one of our family heirlooms, I guess. And the woman who finished these, she did a beautiful job. They all have different backing fabrics, but I just love having them all in a bowl. And we have a big coffee table that they sit on. And then I put some greenery in the bowl. So here's the empty bowl, and then I just fill them up. Chris like, why did you show the empty bowl? But they're fun. So, but thanks for asking that question. And I'm sorry I don't know, but the Marking Sampler is the name of the designer. And here it is again, her logo. So the 12 Days of Christmas.
Do you want another question?
Well, I think so. Did I answer that question?
I think so.
All right.
Okay. Amanda asked, she said, I love your creativity. I am pretty new to cross stitching, returning to cross stitch after 40 years.
Oh,
How long have you been cross stitching?
40 years. Welcome back to cross stitching. A lot's changed, Amanda. Like I just said, when I first started stitching, I was probably 8 years old, and that was Ada and DMC floss and commit kits from Dimensions and Leisure Arts, all those types of kits. And when I stopped stitching, pretty much my middle school and high school years, I did not stitch and into college, and I did not return to cross stitch until Gray and Tristan were little. I want to say Tristan was maybe 5, maybe 4 or 5. I remember he was in preschool, and I would go to that cross stitch store that I just found. And I was so excited to find a cross stitch store. And the reason I went back or returned to cross stitch is I think I was really missing my grandmother. And I wanted to feel that connection to her again. And so I started looking into cross stitch. What's new in cross stitch? Is cross stitch still even a thing? And I started researching it and found that there was a store in Knoxville. And when I visited the store, I was so excited because there were so many new things to see in cross stitch. And so I just jumped right in, and I started with Prairie Schoolers. Here's another Prairie Schooler. I started with the Yearly Santas. And this one I had professionally finished. This was back when I was having someone professionally finish for me. And so I went back to cross stitch just because I was wanting to do something with my hands, and I wanted to have something to pass on to my children and grandchildren someday, because I didn't have a lot of things that my grandmother had made. And I felt that that was important to me because I was really wishing I had those things. And so I wanted some things in our home that I could pass on to our children. So what else, Gray? You just keep them coming.
Maureen, she asked you if you could tell a little bit more about your art background. You were talking about college for a second there too, so.
Okay.
Just wanted to know your art.
Maureen was asking about my art background. I actually have an art history background. That is what I have my degree in. I had always planned on either teaching or working in a museum one day, and life changed, things changed. I did work in a gallery for a little while here in town, and I was a docent at a couple of museums, one art museum and one history museum in town. And I just always loved history, and I loved art, and I loved how the two were intertwined together. And so I got a degree in art history. So thank you for asking. I can see someone's asking, does your daughter cross stitch?
Oh.
She does not.
She does not, unfortunately.
She does not. She can appreciate it, but she does not cross stitch. All right, Grady.
Mary asked, where do you buy antique cross stitch samplers?
Well, I get asked that question a lot because a lot of people would like to purchase antique samplers, and I after collecting for a while, I have learned of some places and people to purchase from, because that we've heard these stories of people buying antique samplers and they're just not of good quality, or they question their authenticity. And there are different calibers and different types of samplers. And I have found an antique dealer in England that I purchased from. He also looks for auctions in the UK for me, and he helps coordinate getting those sales together. And if that sampler is, if we win that bid or that sampler, he coordinates shipping it to me here in the States. So that is one source I use. And another, I don't discredit eBay. I have found many beautiful samplers on eBay. I also look for online auctions here in the States. There are some sites like Live, I think it's called Live Bid. There's Invaluable. There's lots of sites that have auctions, online auctions, and you can just search needlework antique samplers and different words, a combination of words like that. But that's generally where I look for mine. And then we have a place in town. It's an auction house. It's called Case Antiques, and I have found some there before. And I've received some as gifts. My mother-in-law gifted me a couple, and those are really special to me. Maybe one day I'll reproduce some of those in honor of my mother-in-law. So
let's see. Oh, follow-up question from Hobbies of Holly. How many
Holly.
samplers do you own?
Oh, Holly. Y'all, everybody say hi to Holly. She is such a sweet friend, and I really do appreciate and value her friendship. That is a great question, Holly. I don't know. I need to do an inventory. If I had to guess, I would say I probably have maybe in the 30s. I may have but they all range in, some are framed, some are not framed, some are small, some are on perforated paper. Just different sizes. So I'll do that. I'll count them one day coming up and see how many I have. But I think I have about 30.
Elizabeth asked, what has been the hardest thing about starting your cross-stitch design business, and what has been the biggest surprise?
What was the hardest thing about starting?
Hardest thing, biggest surprise.
Okay, so she asked, and who asked that?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth asked, what was the hardest thing about starting my cross-stitch designing business, and what has been the biggest surprise? The hardest thing, I think, starting was getting over fear. I felt like I didn't have the courage to do it. I was the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of just fear. That was my biggest challenge. And then after that, once I decided, after lots of encouragement from a lot of friends, I found that the next challenge was learning the software. I use MacStitch, which is an Apple application on my MacBook, and learning the software was the next challenge. And then figuring out how a design translates from your computer screen to what that's going to look like on your computer, on your linen or on your fabric, because it may look one way on your computer, which it's weird. It just doesn't look, it's taken me a while to see that it may look this way on my computer screen, but once it's stitched, it has a completely different personality and look of its own. But I think my biggest surprise, is that the second part of the question?
Yes.
My biggest surprise is, gosh, my biggest surprise, just, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but my biggest surprise has been just the support that I've received. I am so grateful and so honored that you all have been so supportive of me. And I've met a lot of wonderful people along the way, and I've made some beautiful and wonderful and lifelong friendships. And it's funny how things happen just when you need them to. And my heart needed that at that time. My heart needed that friendship. It needed that support. It needed this new stage in my life. And I think that the fulfillment and the just, that's been a big surprise to me. So I hope I answered that. I did see somebody ask up here if they could still get the Go Tell It on the Mountain, and you can. Shops have ordered them. They are in all shops. For a while, Cross Stitch and Crafts was so swamped with all of your orders because of the fundraiser, and it was amazing. But now things have settled down. But a lot of the shops have them in their store. You can also find it in my Etsy shop. But support your local needlework store. Call them, have them kit it for you. Many places have it, and we have been printing and fulfilling orders still to this day of that series, and it's just been amazing. So thank you all so much. All right, Gray, I'll let you. Actually, let's take a break for a second for some questions. I want to show these other little prairie schoolers that I finished. These little guys are some of my favorites, and this is from the Button Up series. It was a Prairie Schooler booklet, and it's called Button Up. And it is a set, or it's an image, and it has 9 of these squares, and it has that you could stitch as one big piece. And it's these cute little children, and they're in a little snow scene, and you can stitch them all as one big piece. Well, I wanted to make ornaments. And so what I did is I took those little squares or those images, and I did a little border around them and made these little ornaments. I've only done 3, so I need to do the remaining 6. But I finished these on sticky board. I did a double mount, and I hid the sticky board on the back. Again, these were when I was first starting to finish on my own. So they're a little rough around the edges, but I love it. I added a bell, I added some greenery, and these little hangers on here. Gray was talking about these today, how much she likes these. So this is from the Button Up booklet of the Prairie Schooler. I feel like I brought a lot of Prairie Schoolers tonight, so those are fun. Gray?
Do you want another question?
I do. Okay. Do you have a good one?
Well, you were talking about the fabric you were using. I saw a question asking about that.
Fabric, like linen fabric? Or
yes.
Or quilting fabric?
Dee was asking, do you have a favorite fabric and count? And do you prefer neutral colors?
Yes, Dee, I do prefer neutral colors. I have played around with blue, like on his gift. This is a release I have from last year. I'll pull it down. We have a lot of nativities in our house, and that's one of my favorites, the blue and white one. But I sometimes will design and stitch on color fabric, which I think is beautiful. It gives a nice look to some pieces, but my go-to fabric, I love neutrals. I just feel, but I like neutrals with just a little bit of modeling, not too much, but sometimes I want a little bit more modeling to give the piece some interest, I guess, and some depth. But my favorite count to stitch on is 36 count. 36 and 40 count for some pieces. If I'm stitching something that I feel like I want the colors to really stand out and have more coverage, I will stitch 32 count. But that's just what I've gotten used to doing. But I prefer that 36 to 40 count. And when I am designing, I keep that in mind. I keep the stitch count and the size in mind, because I know some people like to stitch on 28 or 32 count. So if I'm stitching something or designing something and I don't want it to be too big, if someone chooses to stitch it on 28 count, I keep those kinds of things in mind for the Ada stitchers and for the 28 counts and the 32 counts. I just like to keep that in mind. I see Natalie's asking, do you use sawdust stuffing, and any tips on what to look for? Thinking about stuffing a drum. So I use the walnut shells, crushed walnut shells, which some people call it lizard litter. But I use walnut shells, and I use polyfill and loft it. Like I follow the Vonna Pfeiffer tutorial. That's when I started learning to fully finish on my own. I use the polyfill, and I just really loft it and take my time and get little small pieces and just try not to rush it. That's the biggest tip that I have for stuffing pieces, is just don't get in a hurry. Just, it may seem like it's taking forever, but it'll all come out in the end. So what else do we have, Gray?
Feidi was asking if you've ever done a project on perforated paper.
Someone asked if I've done a project on perforated paper. I have not, but I do have some antique samplers, or small pieces, not samplers, that are on perforated paper. The birds, why can I not do that? These birds right here, they are stitched on perforated paper. I have a small little antique piece that's stitched on perforated paper, but I've never stitched on it. I want to try it. You know what perforated paper is? It was created in the late 1800s, and it was just another way of for needlework. But it's kind of like it's just a thicker piece of cardboardy paper. It's not cardboard, but piece of fiber, and it has holes in it, and you can stitch on it versus fabric. But I've never tried it. I want to. Maybe that'll be a goal for 2025.
Cute.
Yes.
Let's see. I saw one person was asking if you would be willing to give any hints about what you're working on for new releases.
Hints for what I'm working
Sneak
on for
peeks.
I don't have any sneak peeks. And full disclosure, I am behind on all things for the spring, but we will see more of the Celebrate You series. So expect to see more of my sheep. And I have the next release of the Season of Generosity. And I'm so excited about that one. I love the song that it's based off of, and that one is ready to be stitched. And so, yeah, I'm in full market mode, getting ready for the spring. Let me know if you want to see anything special. If you have any colors you want or anything like that, let me know.
Phyllis is asking, where do you get your inspiration for your designs? She said she loves your faith-based designs.
Oh, thank you. I do. Phyllis is asking where I get my inspiration from. She likes the faith-based designs. And I would say that I do get a lot of inspiration through scripture and through our discussions. Gray is a big help with a lot of that. She's often telling me what she's doing in her Bible study and with her friends, and that is a big inspiration. But I just feel that that's near and dear to my heart. I find a lot of inspiration in those conversations in the scripture. And then I also like to think about what I want to stitch and what I would want in my home. And so I try to find inspiration that way. You know, what I find is something that we would want to decorate our house with.
And then Susan asked, when did you start designing your own charts?
I started designing, it's been a year and a half. So it was the summer of 2023. Oh my goodness, that's so crazy to think. So it's been about a year and a half, and I started thinking that I was just going to reproduce samplers or reimagine samplers, and it just evolved from there. I decided that I wanted to do more than just samplers. And so by that fall, I had more original designs mixed in with the samplers and the reproduction samplers. So
Someone asked, would you ever want to own your own store?
Oh, someone's asked if I would ever want to own my own store. Who asked that question?
Chrissy Madden.
Chrissy. Okay. That would be wonderful. I would love to do that. I love going to cross stitch stores. I love traveling to different cross stitch stores. And I just love the energy when I go into a cross stitch store. But as of now, I don't have plans to do that, but I have thought about it in the past. And it would be so much fun. It would be like having a cross stitch party every day. I would have a big table and everybody would come and hang out with me, and all my friends would stitch every day. Maybe then Gray would cross stitch if I had a store. She's like,
well, I don't know how to say this name. Delnora Stitches 6612 asked, we were just talking about how you started doing your own designs. She's asking what your process is specifically. Do you draw something out first? Do you design it on software first? Like, what's your brainstorming?
So the question is what's my process of start to finish with designing a cross stitch piece? And sometimes it's free form, where I'm just on the computer and I have a vision and I'm just doing it on the computer, but not most of the time. I sketch it on my, I have a graph paper, and I just do a quick sketch, and then I keep just that notebook with me as much as I can, just because sometimes I'll get an idea, and if I don't say something or write it down or put it on my phone, I will forget it. I am really bad about forgetting things. So I try to always have a notebook with me so I can sketch something out if I have an idea. But that's generally where it starts. And then from there, I will go and start designing it on the computer. And then I start pulling the floss to finalize everything and play with fabric and wrap things up that way. So.
Do you want to do another question?
Sure. I don't think I have any more previous finishes.
Well, speaking about finishes, Mindy was asking, where do you get your quilt fabric from? And particularly the cute small print ones, like on your ornament pillows.
Oh, so the question is, where do I get my quilt fabric for fully finishing my ornaments and pillows and things like that? Buying fabric is sort of its own hobby of itself, because that's part of the fun too, is going and finding the fabric for finishing. And I have a shop in town. It's called Gina's. It's a Bernina store, but Gina's is the name of it. And she has a beautiful selection of quilt fabric. But I've also, when I travel or when I go to some cross stitch stores, will have quilt fabric in there. And so if I see anything I like, I go ahead and get it. I've mentioned this before. The difference with quilt fabric versus, say, like cross stitch material and cross stitch patterns is quilt fabric, once that season is done and the inventory is sold, they just don't reproduce that fabric, and so I usually buy when I see it. And I have found that I know now that there are some styles and brands and names designers that I like, and I just always keep an eye out for them. But I usually just buy it here locally, but I also am always on the lookout. But don't forget, Hobby Lobby and Joann's are a great source for fabric too.
Dee asked, which out-of-state LNS has been your favorite to visit?
Out of state, because they all know I like to go to Cross Stitch and Crafts. Gosh, there's so many beautiful stores. I enjoy, I can't say, there's just so many. They all have a special niche to them, like Country Sampler in Spring Green, Wisconsin has a beautiful decor in their shop. They have a beautiful way of displaying their quilt fabric. That's another great place for quilt fabric. They have a great way of displaying you feel like you're walking in someone's house, Gray. It is such a beautiful shop. They have all these pretty vignettes and little scenes set up, and they coordinate their quilts with their cross stitch displays. It's just beautiful. It's very magical. I would say that's probably my favorite, but then I also enjoy going to Sassy Jack's and Annabella's here in North Carolina, and I cannot wait to go to Alabama and visit Gary and Ronnie's new store in Alabama. Hopefully I can do that within the next few months too. But so many stores that I want to go and visit. That's really on my list of things to do, is to travel and see more cross stitch stores. I just love it. You need to go with me, Gray. We can make it a road trip. You can be like my sidekick.
Yeah. Okay, a few shout outs.
Okay.
Karen said she's from Florida. She said she loves your sheep patterns and that she stitched Go Tell It on a Mountain.
Thank you, Karen.
So thanks, Karen. And then Janice said Go Tell It on a Mountain is her favorite Christmas song. And that she would love to have a piece that says "Then sings my soul," like from How Great Thou Art. So
Janice,
we love that hymn. We were just talking about that the other day.
Yeah, we were just talking about that hymn. It's a beautiful. It's one of those that really is an emotional.
It always makes you cry.
It always makes me cry.
And then Jersey Girl Stitches.
Oh, hey, Teresa.
Asked, are you teaching at any retreats or attending any retreats in 2025?
I'm not teaching at any retreats, but I am attending the Library Stitchers retreat. That's in Maine in April. I'm signed up to go to that. And then I am co-hosting with Alicia, the Fanciful Flamingo. We're co-hosting Stitch Florida, and that is in October. Nice. I think that's right, or maybe it's September. Uh-oh, I better put it on my calendar. We want to make sure I show up.
Yeah. Oh, Dawn X said Country Sampler is the happiest place.
Oh, Dawn, you're right. It is. And they have an apartment above that you can rent for like an Airbnb. It is so cool to just go and stitch up there and then run downstairs if you forget something, and which, that's the best part. It's also dangerous.
Let's see.
Missy. I see Missy. She is Missy Timberlake. She is one of just the nicest person you meet, but she is one of the hosts of the Library Stitchers retreat.
Someone asked, Karen asked, do you quilt? And then Mindy asked, where do you get your quilt fabric?
Oh, well, quilt fabric we talked about. I get most of it here in town, and at a shop called Gina's. And then I have quilted before. We used to live in a home that we had lived in for, about 19 years. And I had a lot of space for a sewing table, and we have recently, within the last few years, downsized. And so I had to, my sewing machine's not out like it used to be. And I found that when I have it out, I quilt and sew more. For me now to be able to do that, I have to move furniture and pull tables, and Matt doesn't like it when I do that because I usually request his assistance. And so I haven't quilted in a while, but the last quilt I made, I think, was for you, Gray, for your dorm when you went off to college. So it's been about a year and a half since I quilted, but I do enjoy it. I used to think you quilt during the day and stitch at night, and maybe when we get our new place, we can go back to that setup, because there's something about switching up your hobbies. It just really does something for your creativity.
Yeah, so my friends love that quilt. It's a fan favorite for picnicking and movie nights, and it's great.
Well, good.
Denise said, loving your videos. Could you tell me what counting pins are used for?
Counting pins. Okay. Well, Jersey Girl Stitch Company is actually joining us tonight. Teresa, she makes these beautiful decorative counting pins. Well, the pins that she makes, look, I have, this is where I keep my counting pins. She makes beautiful decorative pins for embellishments on your pin cushions. That's one use for counting pins. They can be decorative, but then in theory, what they were used for is to actually help you count. So if you have a long row of stitches, you use those pins and mark your place. So what I'll do, if I have a long border of straight stitches or a long border of grass or snow or something that's just long and straight, and I don't want to lose count and have to recount over and over again because counting is hard, I use the pins to mark my place. So I will, it depends on how long I'm stitching, but if it's 10 or 20 stitches, then I'll take the pin and I'll just mark it and then keep on going so that it helps me keep track of where I am and how many stitches I have stitched. So Gray, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Just to give myself a break. What is your favorite Christmas tradition that we do?
There are a few. We always start our holiday season. As you know, I'm saying this to the people.
If you can't hear Gray, let us know.
Yes, please. I can be louder.
She can be louder.
We, after eating Thanksgiving dinner, always clean up the dishes and put the food away, and then we set up our Christmas tree all together in the living room, and it's just such a lovely tradition. Sometimes we'll have hot chocolate, and our godfather is very close to us. He's always, joining us for meals and for holidays. So he will always hide. We found 5 years ago this Christmas ornament that's a pickle.
The Christmas pickle. Mm-hmm.
At this random Christmas store, and we heard about this German tradition where they hide a real pickle, right? Or is it an ornament? I don't know.
Oh, I hope it's an ornament.
Yeah, they hide a pickle somewhere in the house or on the tree, and then whoever finds it first gets a little gift before Christmas. So we normally hide a pickle. We couldn't find the pickle that we've been using.
Sometimes James is a little too creative when he hides the pickle.
Yeah, sometimes we can't find it.
Yeah, sometimes we can't find it.
So that's a fun one. Also, my dad, as long as I can remember, has had these very plush Santa slippers. They're this sort of what would you call the material? It's like ski jacket material.
Yeah, it's like it's like a little windbreaker type material.
They don't get dirty or anything.
Oh no, they do.
But they don't get worn down.
So Gray is saying one of her favorite traditions is Matthew. It's Christmas is on when Matt pulls out the Santa slippers, and he's had these slippers, Gray, since before I met him.
Yeah,
that's how long he's had these slippers, and we've been married. Well, I just realized, again, counting's hard. It's 24 years next year, not 25. For the longest time, I thought next year's our 25th wedding anniversary, and he never corrected me. So next year's our 24th wedding anniversary. But anyway, so he's had these Santa slippers longer than I have known him, and Christmas is about to get real when he pulls out those slippers.
It's the best day of the year when you just see him go into the room and then come back out wearing them. It's just the best time. And
they're so funny. The Santa face is huge, and he loves those things. We need to really protect them because he's had them forever. I don't think you can even wash them. We've tried. So
they're the most nostalgic thing.
Yeah.
In the world.
Well, that's a good tradition. Have you told him that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's ask a couple more questions. And did you have any more?
There's two more. I'm
okay.
saving these because they're a little more fun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Carol asked what our favorite family tradition is.
Okay.
And then she shared hers she said that hers is cozy clothes, often PJs, brunch with homemade cinnamon rolls and games. Oh, so this is on Christmas Day.
Okay, so your favorite tradition on Christmas Day.
In the evening, she'll watch a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and one of my favorite things that we do is Baba. That is what we called my mother-in-law, Baba. She had Christmas tea that was just amazing, and we would always make a big pot of this Christmas tea, and we sip on it throughout the morning, and we'll eat little biscuits and donuts and pancakes and all the things, and then we have Christmas morning, and then we usually just then do Christmas dinner. So because we're so full from all the snacks all morning and all the desserts and the breakfast. So, but the Christmas tea is one of my favorites.
Yeah. Growing up, it always drove me crazy because we couldn't open presents until we'd eaten our breakfast.
Yeah, Matt would not let the kids open their presents. He was so mean. He would not let you open presents until you ate your breakfast.
And it was even until our relatives would come over. So normally it was just my grandparents would come over and James, and so our godfather. And they would take so long. I was like, why are these people sleeping in? It's Christmas. Get over here. And then we'd have to eat the food. But now I'm really grateful he did that because otherwise we would have been heathens and torn the presents open before the sun was even up. So
yeah,
we got to prolong the day.
He likes to stretch it out a little bit longer. And I've always told Gray this, that just find yourself a man that loves Christmas, because it changes everything.
A Christmas movie. I see someone asking what's a must-see Christmas
Oh,
movie.
our favorite. Oh, hey, TMET, our favorite Christmas movie. Oh my goodness. I feel like that changes every year, doesn't it?
Yes. Wait, pause.
Pause.
Yvonne is asking about Christmas tea, what you meant by that. The Russian tea. Maybe.
Right. Well,
I don't
it's
think people know what that means.
Baba's tea. And a little sneak peek, that is the recipe that I've submitted for the Needlework Market cookbook this year. So it'll have a free Christmas pattern that I have submitted, and that's going to be in the cookbook. But it's like a spiced tea.
Citrusy.
It's delicious. It's got pineapple juice and orange juice and cinnamon and apple cider, and it's a black tea base, kind of like a Lipton or Louisiana tea base. Lots of sugar, and cinnamon. It's just goodness in a cup it smells and tastes like Christmas. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
I love it.
Sorry, so we were talking about Christmas.
Oh, Christmas
movies.
movies.
I just had to address that.
Okay. What is your favorite Christmas movie?
Well, okay. This has actually been the topic of much debate on my college campus recently.
Okay.
You either grew up in an elf family or an It's a Wonderful Life family, like an oldies family.
Oldies Christmas movies versus the newer Christmas movies.
We grew up, doing more of the new ones. So I've always loved Elf. We, as a whole family, think it's hilarious. We can quote the entire movie throughout the year. I will quote Elf.
Elf is a good one. That's funny.
It's great. My brother loves Home Alone, so that means that I love
Tristan
Home Alone.
does love.
So hard.
He loves Home Alone. I've never heard someone belly laugh as much as he does when he watches Home Alone. It is hysterical. I think I like watching it because I like to watch his reaction more than anything.
That's why we all like to watch it.
But I do like It's a Wonderful Life. But I will say that my new favorite that we watched, I guess, okay, we used to watch Hallmark movies, but we don't really watch as many of them anymore. But Gray and I recently found one, and it is an older one, and not old, but probably 5 years ago.
A classic Hallmark.
It's just a good Hallmark movie, but it's called Godwink Christmas, and it has Kathy Lee Gifford in it. And it is such a beautiful little story, and it's based in Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. And Don Eck. Don Eck says Die Hard. That is not a Christmas movie. But Godwink Christmas is one of my favorite Hallmark type movies, and it's just a sweet story. Highly recommend it. So
it was really good, and normally I'm the one making fun of Hallmark movies. Unfortunately, I'm a bit more of a cynic.
Yeah, it's not.
I really enjoyed it.
It's not a cheesy Hallmark movie. It's more of a, I don't know. It's just a really good story.
It was unique. I liked it.
Very unique, and it's just about a girl trying to. She feels like she's missing something, and she's just not sure what it is. And a Godwink it's things that happen in your life that it's God nudging you in a certain way, and it's God's winking at you and letting you know this is gently nudging you in this direction. So Mel's. We're not picking on Hallmark, Mel, I promise. But I'm just saying it's not a cheesy Hallmark movie where, the funny sayings is, every time somebody mentions hot cocoa, I'm going to, have a cookie or whatever. It's not like that. It's just a really good movie. So highly recommend it. Okay.
Yes.
But no, Die Hard Dawn is not a Christmas movie. So
see, I
don't even know I haven't even watched it. Go ahead.
I haven't either.
Okay.
I wish that I was an It's a Wonderful Life person, but I've just never seen the whole thing. So my goal for this holiday season is to watch the whole thing through. Oh,
beginning to end of It's a Wonderful Life. That is a good one.
I would love to just be able to say that's my favorite.
It is.
I think I would love it. I've liked what I've seen of it.
Oh, it's a great movie. I love Jimmy Stewart. He's so good. Okay.
Let's see.
Just a few more.
Last question that I have printed out here. If anyone else asks more in the chat, though, feel free. Rose asked, what is your favorite Christmas cookie to bake or to eat?
My favorite Christmas cookie to bake or to eat?
Well, just the other day.
Well, just last night. Okay, so to answer the question first, and then we'll go into, I think my favorite Christmas cookie or treat? Goodness, that is hard.
Because we don't really, being gluten-free, it's been kind of hard for us to like find a good classic, the sugar cookie with the frosting.
Right.
It's hard to make those.
I do love a royal frosting, a royal icing cookie. I'd have to say snickerdoodles. I really love snickerdoodles. And a big tradition in our house is to make Buckeyes, but we don't call them Buckeyes, but I'm calling them Buckeyes, so y'all know what I'm talking about. But peanut butter balls. They're chocolate peanut butter balls, and we like making those. That's Tristan's favorite, so we like to make that. But we, Gray and I did some baking last night. It was kind of like a bake-off. She wanted chocolate chip cookies, and I wanted white chocolate macadamia nut cookies with cranberries. And they were all saying, ew, that's awful. That's nasty. Why would you make that? I don't know. I just wanted to make them. So she made her chocolate chip cookies, and then I started to make my cookies. And of course I had to go last because, Gray was making chocolate chip cookies, and and I was cooking dinner, and Matt wanted chocolate chip cookies. He was not on my bus. He was on her bus wanting the chocolate chip cookies. So they made their cookies, and they were saying how wonderful they are, and they're delicious, fresh out of the oven, and I'm still making mine. Well, I think I got stressed because I completely forgot to put the white chocolate chips in, but I didn't realize it until the middle of the night because I couldn't figure out why are these cookies, that something's missing. And then I kept thinking, maybe I should put orange zest in it. And so I'm going through my mind trying to figure out what to do. And then I realized, again, it was in the middle of the night because I couldn't sleep. It's like, I didn't put the chocolate chips. I opened the bag of chocolate chips and left them next to the mixer, and they were still sitting by the mixer. So if you make white chocolate chip macadamia nut cookies, I highly recommend you adding the white chocolate chips. Key ingredient. True story.
But see, there's a lesson here. And
you
made the cookies.
There is a lesson.
You wanted to eat them. And that's
right.
all that mattered.
That is right. That is the lesson. I wanted the cookies. They had their cookie, and I was determined to get them to like the cookies. They probably would have liked them if I remembered the chocolate chips.
Yeah.
Okay, let's ask just a few more, and then we'll.
Chrissy asked, which one of your designs has brought you the most joy?
Which one of my designs has brought me the most joy? And I would have to say, hands down, Strength and Dignity. It's brought me the most joy. And I know you all as stitchers can relate to this. There are some pieces that while you're stitching them, there is a meaning behind it, whether it's personal or you're stitching it for a friend. And that is one piece that from beginning to end, I felt like I had just something take over and just really guide me through that piece. And I just love it to this day. And it's one of my favorites. So
that's it. All the questions that we have.
Is that all? Really?
Unless anyone wants to shoot a last minute question.
Well, we are going to start wrapping it up unless you all have any questions left. But I want to, if I don't see you all again before the end of the year, I will definitely try to do another video. Maybe Gray will actually come on the video. She's saying no. But I hope that you all have a very Merry Christmas with your family. I hope that you are surrounded by love and joy, and that your year comes to a close exactly the way you want it to. And thank you so much for making my year extra special and just making me feel loved and a part of this community. You will never know how much that means to me. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Gray, and thank you, Gray. Everybody give her a round of applause for moderating tonight's questions. She's always fun to have along with us, and
happy to help.
Happy to help. She's always there to help. But thank you all so much, and I hope you have a wonderful night. If you find any Christmas movies that we need to know about, email me at theproperstitcher@gmail.com. And don't forget that I have an Instagram page and a Facebook page and an Etsy shop. You can find me in all those places. And thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Bye.